All right, we're back.
I think we lost all 6 people that were watching. All right. Here, we'll give it a couple seconds. Maybe a couple minutes. Let a couple people get on.
It says that video is going to start in 3 minutes. I don't know what that's going to do.
I think we lost all 6 people that were watching. There you go, bud. All right, cool.
Cody's back.
That's all that matters. Cool, man. So, might as well start the deal, huh?
Let's do it.
All right. So, this is what we're gonna do. We got a lot of cool things to talk about today. We want to first of all thank everybody for telling us that we need to do something. We kind of took it from there. We didn't really know what to do, so we figured, hey, we'll get a couple mics and we'll get a couple things to talk about. Let some of the fans shoot some questions to us, different things that we could talk about through the course of the weekend, different things that happened, different events. Obviously, last week at the 4-wide, there was a lot of cool things that went on. Obviously, this guy right here getting the win, crushing them, Mr. Double Hole Shot, you name it. But just a lot of different things we can discuss. The biggest thing we want to do with our podcast with Nomex Effect is we want to just continue on the conversation from the weekend. Just talk about different events, keep the conversations going into the following weekend, kind of give you a little bit of the behind the scenes, just different stuff that you may not be able to see if you're not at the event, or maybe if you're not watching the TV show. We'll be able to answer a lot of questions for you. So I think, there's some cool things that, kind of starting out the weekend. You guys did a pretty neat event on Thursday. I wasn't able to be a part of it, but you, JR, Richie Crampton, who else was in it?
Cruz and Antron.
Yeah. So they kicked off the 4-wide event. They did a big burnout, and this is Mr. Burnout right here. What'd you go, 900 feet?
Yeah, the wheel counter said that I stepped off the gas. I think it was 866 feet. We were going 125 miles an hour at that point. It was pretty fast. And, you get there and it's a new track. It's not really prepped yet because we're only doing a burnout on Thursday. So you get off the concrete and you're like, oh, this thing's going pretty good. And it gets on the asphalt and it gets real squirrely. And I'm like, oh, man, there's some cones coming up over there. I better step off the gas. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool deal. It's basically, at this point, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get to a burnout like that, because what we do now is not really a burnout anymore.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so speaking of the 4-wide event, what a great event. There's so many mixed reviews or mixed emotions about the 4-wide event, because some people love it, some people hate it. So you're going to get a difference of opinion from everybody, but what a turnout, man. They had sellout every day. Stands were packed. I know a lot of times I get asked the question of, what do you think about the 4-wide? And my simple answer to last weekend was, look at the stands. The fans love it. They're packing the stands. They're showing up. So when they're showing up, what are you going to say to it? It doesn't matter if you like the racing or not. As a driver, as an entertainer, you figure out a way to like it. Figure out a way, like what this guy does, is just kick everybody's butt and win the event, and then you're almost forced to like it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's basically what I said Sunday after the race was, when the idea is kicked around, I wasn't all in favor of, especially going to Vegas. Like, oh man, we gotta go do this again. But like you said, you look at the stands and they're packed. I mean, when's the last time that we had multiple sellouts throughout the weekend in one event? Like, I don't remember that ever happening. And,
right.
And at the end of the weekend, I said, if this is what we have to do to bring in a big crowd and even the younger crowd, and then, I mean, I'm all for change. I don't want to do 4 wide 24 races, but things like this, I think it's good for the sport.
Right, absolutely. And that's how I feel too. I mean, you look at the traditional 2 wide racing, just heads up racing to the finish line, but then you throw a different element in it when you have 4 cars racing. I know it plays, as a driver, it plays a little bit of havoc, just trying to, it's more of the staging process as a driver. It's more of a staging process of watching the other guys. And it's not so much that you're worried about what you're doing. It's more you're worried about what the other people are doing. So typically a lot of times when you're racing somebody, and a lot of people say, I'm not worried about who's in the other lane. Well, in this instance, you are. You're worried about 3 other people in the 3 other lanes that you're racing, where they're at on their run time. That there's a big thing when you're racing your cars is if you're taking too long, you're burning too much fuel off. It could throw the ballast off on the car. So you want to really try to maintain within, 5 to 7 seconds of ideally of your run time. So you're not burning off a whole bunch of fuel and stuff like that. So you go into a 4 wide event and you try to, get everybody on the same page. And sometimes it can be difficult. There's a lot of times that, when you go up there to stage, I mean, for instance, last year, I had a thing in a qualifying run where one of the guys rolled through the beams. Well, they ended up pulling them back. And, even though we don't really know what's right and wrong, so we're all sitting there pre-staged, and there's 3 of us that are sitting there pre-staged kind of waiting. We don't have any radio communication with the starter, so we don't know what to do. We're kind of playing it by ear, and, we're all kind of in that same, mindset of just we're out there trying to figure it out. And but bottom line, man, you got the stands, they're packed, the people show up. So bottom line, you as a driver, you figure out a way to make it work. There's obviously a lot of different things that we do. Like JR and I discussed, there's a lot of strategy that you can do as a driver going into these races that you're able to kind of play the game a little bit. Where on the starting line of it's not so much that you're worried about what you're doing, it's you're worried about what the other guys are doing. So I know JR and I, we were in the first quad where we were running against each other. It was actually JR and I against Bob Tasca and John Force. So JR and I, we kind of had a little bit of a game plan going into that round of, we knew what we were doing, because the way we looked at it is it's us against everybody else. So we kind of discussed a little bit going into the rounds of how we want to play this situation out, how we want to not let the 4 wide distract us as drivers. We got the same game plan, and that's all we were really worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's rolling up there. You just got to be aware what lane you're in, and then what lane the person you're, I'd say, not worried about, but there's certain drivers that take longer than some that are quicker on the start. Their routine, they're quicker or longer than other guys. You just make yourself aware of those people. And, John Forrest, he likes to take his time on the start line. I mean, there's no rule that says you have to be fast or slow or whatever. So you just got to make yourself aware, say what lane he's in, and then pay attention, when you're pre-stage and staging, because the lights are different on the tree for 4 wide, depending on what lane you're in. Luckily, I think we were both in, I was in 3, you were in 1, correct?
Yeah, we got moved to 1 at the last minute.
So being in the middle 2 lanes, you got to look at a different spot on the tree at your pre-stage and stage lights, because they're not on the outside, where you used to be looking. But so I just want to make myself aware of what lane Force was in, where Sean was, and then just get an understanding from he and I, when it was time to go in. So we went up there and everybody turned on the pre-stage lights, and it seemed like we sat there for an hour before the next guy wanted to go in and stage, which I thought it was kind of cool. I actually almost started laughing in my helmet when we were sitting there that long.
Yeah, I did too. Obviously, like I said, JR and I, we kind of pre-planned for that event that, the biggest thing in the 4 wide is you don't want to be the guy stuck with the pedal out for 7 seconds. So we knew that going in. So we kind of, like I said, we basically staged at the same time because we kind of knew where we wanted to stage. We just ended up that we staged third and fourth. It wasn't that we were intentionally hanging anybody out by any means, correct, but we just didn't want to be the guy stuck, with our pedal out for 7 seconds. So, we were able to do that. Obviously, it didn't work to my benefit. We had to do a quick lane change at the last second. We had to go from 4 back over to 1, which wasn't an ideal lane for us. We blew the tires off at the starting line, but that's kind of a little bit of a difficult situation for the crew chiefs. Crew chiefs are used to getting 2 runs on each lane going into the weekend. So they come to the 4-wide events. Now they get where they only get 1 shot at each lane during the qualifying runs. Well, if you make a mistake during one of the qualifying runs, you lose all that information on that lane. So, we went over to 1. We were wanting to get 4. We were completely okay with the fact that force was going to give us lane 4. We felt good about that. We got swapped over, the last second, man. And they even said, we double checked with them. Are you sure you guys want 1? That's fine. If you guys, so, got put over into 1, but fortunately for JR, man, he drove his ass off. He did a good job. He, at second round, you ended up winning on a double hole shot. In the final round, wins on a hole shot. I know as a driver, that is like the ultimate thing because, you're really at the end of the day, it's a crew chief's race. The driver's just holding the car straight. You try to give them a little bit of an advantage at the starting line, but when you're racing down the track, and you're racing against all these guys and guys like us that, we're very fortunate to be in the positions we're in. We're lucky to be racing for guys like Connie Coletta. I mean, at the end of the day. So when we're able to go out there and have a day like that, where you're winning on double hole shots, you're winning on hole shots, you're winning in the final round and bringing that back and to see the enjoyment out of Connie and to see the enjoyment out of your crew guys that really flat bust their ass all year long to give you a race car. I mean, yeah, you got to explain this a little bit. I mean, tell everybody about it.
It's to me that's the ultimate way to pay back your guys and your team. And yeah, you take pride in your reaction time. I feel like since you came in to the funny car class, like it's definitely stepped up everybody's game on the starting line. And yeah, it didn't work out for first round for us, our plan, but therefore a split second it worked out because you were first off the starting line. You had a 061 light, something like that.
Well, 064, but
my bad. 064.
I'll take a 61.
Okay, but I mean, I feel like if we both were to advance past first round, that it could have very easily been winning on a double hole shot or a hole shot in the final. That's to me like you've definitely raised the bar when it comes to reaction times, getting off the starting line before everybody else. And it's just something that as a driver you take pride in and something you want to be, I'd say, known for as a quick lever because it gets everybody else in the class thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, that's one thing I know, both of us raced dragster for so long. And a lot of the dragster drivers, it kind of became a thing throughout the years of who could flicker it the most and who could still get the better reaction time. So it's been a little bit of change for me coming over to the funny car class. You got guys, they just don't care. Hey, I put it in 200 or 300s on you, and I'm going to try to beat you on a hole shot regardless.
They'll stage with the headers if they can.
And so you're just over here. I mean, me as a rookie, I'm in my 4th race. I'm thinking, man, I'm trying to keep up with these guys on the reaction time. These guys are killing me on the lights, and it's like, oh, well, yeah, they're putting it in a couple hundreds. I mean, that makes sense, but it's tough. I mean, regardless, at the end of the day, I mean, all the numbers add up at the end of the day. So
Right. I feel like a lot of fans aren't aware of, us drivers. We can look at, or even the crew chiefs can look at the 60-foot numbers and you see the guy's light and it better add up to a certain roundabout number. If not, well, that person cheated quite a bit on the starting line.
Right. And so, you typically will have like, say if you have a 070 reaction time, which is dead shallow, is a pretty darn good light. If you can go low 070s in a funny car, that's pretty strong. But if you could couple that with like a 870, 880, 60 foot, so say so say you go 875, you just add that up, it'd be like a total of a 945. So you create these averages of where you kind of know driver reaction time plus 60 foot, where everybody should be at. So that way, you know, I guess it maybe takes a little bit of the sting out when you see a guy go 050 and then he's, you know, 910 60 foot, where, you know, it's all adding up. But you know, obviously as a driver, that's like the worst case scenario is to lose on a hole shot. So there's a lot of different oh man, it's tough. That's the most, I think, heartbreaking scenario as a driver is when you have a good race car and you have the car to beat, and you go up there and you're so intimidated by the fact that you have the best race car out there, and you almost kind of turn your mentality from, I got to go up there and rip the tree down and cut a great light, to, oh man, I don't want to mess this up.
Exactly.
I hope I don't two-step. I hope I don't mess this up. You know, I got the best race car. And it really changes you as a driver. And I can attest to that. 2013, we had a great race car when I was with Alan Johnson and Brian Hughes, and where I was going all year long, and I'm 40s and 50s on the tree, and it gets down into these crunch times, and I'm just so nervous because I got a great race car, and I'm turning where now I'm like 060s because I don't want to mess up.
Right.
So, you know, the mentality, the aggressive mentality versus the kind of the passive mentality of driving a race car, it can change you as a driver. You know, you look at like what Tommy Johnson did last weekend. He had one of the best race cars on the property, and you know, he just ends up going what, 008 red.
008, yeah, he definitely had the best car in the final, and if not, you know, the semifinals as well. And just, it's hard to tell yourself, hey, like, we got a great car, like, yeah, he didn't need to go up there and crush a tree and he'd have won the race. But at the same time, you need to have that mentality. I need to go up here and crush a tree, like you said.
Exactly, because then the worst side of it is you get a little bit relaxed, you go 080, and then you end up losing on the whole shot with the best car. So it's such a fine line, man. I'm telling you, if you're going up there and you're going 070 every single time on the tree, and then mentally you're telling yourself, well, I need to go 060 on this run because I'm running JR or Matt Hagan or John Force, somebody that can cut a light. Typically 9 times out of 10, you're going the other way. You're going 100 to 120 on the tree because you're so tense, you end up flinching on the thing before you're actually going to pick up your light. So a lot of times, you know, it's just such a mental game on the starting line as a driver. You know, it's like I said, just the fine line. But bottom line, I mean, you know, Matt Hagan, one of the best drivers as far as on the reaction time, you know, he had the mistake first round. He ends up two-stepping and going a couple thousandths red, and I mean, red is red. It doesn't matter how red you go. But
yeah, and I watched the TV show yesterday, and he said that, you know, he must have been late in Gainesville. I don't remember, but that was in the back of his mind, so he went up there and pushed it first round in Vegas. And to me, like, that's something you just have to leave in Gainesville and completely forget about. Go up there and, you know, and try and crush the tree in qualifying and at least get a feel for where you are. Then, you know, on Sunday you're going to get a little more just because all your adrenaline and, you know, you're pumped up more on race day than you are in qualifying. So to me, like, I'm not going to try harder just because I feel like I missed it at a certain point.
Right. Yeah. And you look at, I believe what he was referring to was the final round. He lost on the little hole shot to Beckman, and they both had great reaction times. I mean, you really look at that. The way that I look at it as a driver is I have what I call a window, and if I'm within that 10,000s window, if I end up losing on a hole shot, it's just how the numbers played out. But I went up there, cut the light that I wanted to. And you look at what Matt's light was. He had a great reaction time. He just lost a good race.
Right.
Beckman did a great job. I mean, at that point, you really can't hang your head about it because that's what will happen. When you hang your head about it and you let it eat at you, even when you're doing a good job, like what he did in the final round in Gainesville, those mistakes are going to happen first round. I know, you know, for me, I end up running Beckman in the semifinals, and I did exactly what I tell everybody not to do, and that's go up there when you're trying to get an extra 100. Beckman was hitting the tree all day, and I was trying to pick up my light 100th. I knew I had to in order, you know, to make it a good race, and I end up flinching on the tree, and I go 140 on the tree, which is probably my worst light I've ever had in my drag racing career. And but I know coming into Vegas, that was still in the back of my mind. But as a driver, you know, you almost kind of go back, hit that reset button. You go back to just square one. You go back to, I guess, being, in a sense, a rookie driver. to where you kind of just dumb everything down. You go back to the basics. You don't try to get cute and trying to do this and that, and I just kind of went back to the basics and ended up having, some of the better reaction times in Vegas. So you look at that, and sometimes that just shows you when you go back to the basics of just going to square one and you end up doing better on the tree, that just kind of shows you that the last couple of races you've just been trying too hard.
Exactly. Yeah, it happens to all of us. I mean, you get into a little funk and you finally dig yourself out of it. But yeah, I'm not worried about Matt Hagan. I guarantee you he'll be fine when we get to Houston.
Bob, I thought this show was about talking shit.
Only from Kuhar.
We're getting to that.
Yeah.
Give us time.
Right.
Give us time.
We'll have a segment sponsored by DHR. You know where to send the check.
Yeah, exactly. Dan Nagy, what happened behind the ropes in Vegas? Well, it depends what ropes you're talking about. If you're talking about the UFC ropes, I got my ass kicked.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
It's not good. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. I'm so excited. I get to go and I get to go to UFC. I get to hang out with Forrest Griffin, Julian Marquez. I mean, two of the...
What's his nickname?
The Cuban Missile Crisis. So here's the thing, NHRA, hey, why don't you come on out to UFC and maybe you can spar around with a guy named Cuban Missile Crisis. No big deal, right?
Doesn't sound very smart to me.
No, I think they were setting me up. I think talk about a cool thing, man. They got a new facility. And then, hey, check all this stuff out. They showed us the whole place. And I mean, this place is unbelievable. The amount of technology that they have in these things of just, with the fighters and measuring body fat and water weight and all these different things that they can measure on the bodies and all the nutrition stuff that they have in there and all the gym equipment. And I mean, it's top notch, man. This place is awesome. And so kind of leading into that, we check out the place and then they get us some apparel. They're, hey, change into all your stuff so you can, come out and do a little warm up. Like, all right, we'll do a little, I guess, a warm up, which I call a
normal workout, right?
That's a complete workout for me. It's not just a warm up. These guys are insane. These guys are unbelievable. But a really cool thing, man. We kind of Forrest and Julian showed, some punching techniques, and we got to hit the bags and do these, hit this like punch machine that kind of meters how hard you punch. And so then we, do all these different little exercises, go inside the octagon, and they teach us kind of like these evasive things, and we're moving around, shuffling around, and they're throwing these combos, and you got to dodge and weave and move all around. And so then they go, okay, we're going to come at you a little quicker now. We're going to, start throwing some punches at you. I mean, this is over an hour into this warm up that they say that has completely gassed me. I have a cramp in my side right here underneath my ribs, can barely breathe. So I'm going with this deal. And then the worst case scenario happens. I tripped over myself.
I mean, that's not worst case.
I don't know how much worse it could get, because then they go, oh yeah, by the way, we're Facebook Live. Oh yeah, by the way, waved everybody watching. And so a lot, I was referred to as Twinkle Toes by one Andre Jackson from Toyota, or Toyota sponsor. Had a couple other cute little nicknames that people come up with. I just, like I told him, I said, man, I'm in the middle of this deal and I'm flat gas, man. I have no energy left. My legs feel like 100 pounds and they're trying to get me to shuffle around. I got Cuban Missile Crisis coming after me, trying to throw some punches at me. And so I fell. It happened, but what a cool experience. And the neat thing is Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis, he actually come out to the race last weekend, and he got
every day.
He was originally coming out for one day, and he said that he loved it. So he came back every single day. He was up there, got him in the winner's circle with JR,
awesome.
And just became a fan, man. This guy loves it. He's actually talking about coming out to Sonoma a couple weeks after he fights now. So hopefully, he hopefully did what he did to me in the ring and puts the other guy on the ground.
Here's the question I have. So through all that, the techniques that you learned, like, Do you know how to knock somebody's ass out now at the track, or did you already know how to do that? It's like when we get to Houston, somebody pisses you off, or maybe even your bracket race this weekend, guy gets in your face, like you know where to clock him now, or did you already know that?
Well, I did maybe.
Okay, they just help on your technique.
Yeah, they're more technique, because that's the biggest thing that I learned is like, okay, so I could throw a punch, whatever, but those guys could throw a punch too. So if you're going to go punch for punch, those guys know how to get back into their ready stance quicker than I do, because I'm obviously twinkle toes, right? So I can throw a punch, they could throw a punch, they can take the punch, and they're already back in their defense. And that's what I thought was pretty impressive about these guys, how quick they were and how agile they were as far as throwing punches, moving all around and doing all these things. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, I guess Lauren, I think worst case would have been puking or passing out. Well, I almost did puke. And as far as passing out, that's basically like falling. So I guess
worst case to me is getting knocked out.
Well, I would have got knocked out had we actually done the fight, because Forrest actually says, hey, do you want to go out there and spar? And I said, absolutely not. So, yeah. And then, actually, kind of a funny thing that Forrest did is he says, hey, you want to go in the octagon? You want to play a game real quick? I'm like, I guess. What's the game? Well, the game's body punches. Nope, I don't want to play.
Sounds terrible.
That's not a good game for me at all, because your body and my body is like opposite ends of the spectrum. So, yeah, no, I don't, not interested. And he, no, it'll be fun. Like, we'll just go 50%. Oh, okay. He goes, by the way, you go first. And I go, well, I really don't want to go first. If I go first, is that going to matter how hard I hit you is how hard you hit me? And he goes, well, yeah. So my first punch was, that's good, right? No, hit me. So we started doing these body punches, and then, all right, now my turn. The guy just starts wailing on my stomach, and I can't breathe, takes my dang wind out. Guys are animals, man. These guys, like, they hit hard, and he was claiming he's only 50%, but it felt like 100 to me.
Well, and they trained you got to take a hit, right? So now now you know how to take a hit.
That's the thing. Those guys know how to take a hit, and they know how to. I mean, they can hit. Those guys can hit, and they can take the hits. I mean, you look at what Forrest Griffin did against Stephen Bonner.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I mean, they just punch for punch,
right?
But yeah,
better you than me.
Yeah, it was a fun experience. I'd do it again. Just I'd try to go in a little bit better shape. Wouldn't have an In-N-Out cheeseburger before, that's for sure.
I hear you.
Yeah. So, oh man. So what do you think was the biggest thing last weekend that stood out in the four wides through? I mean, we got, Pro Stock and Top Fuel and Funny Car, but you look at like the event as a whole. I mean, obviously so many drivers are in these events. It's different for everybody. But who do you think benefits the most as a driver out of these four wide scenarios?
I would say the driver that can stay up there and he's locked in on the tree, like doesn't get distracted, which that's one thing I forgot to bring up was there was nobody that got timed out or, rolled through the lights or anything like that. It seems like each year in Charlotte that we've done this, like there's been some kind of problem on the starting line. I remember last year, I think it was a couple pair of Pro Stock cars got timed out because they were looking at the wrong side of the tree and never staged.
Right.
I don't think any pro class in Vegas had that issue. And another thing that stands out, like there were no oil downs. I don't remember any fuel cars having a cleanup after them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's hats off to the crew chiefs there for doing a kick-ass job on a green racetrack that was basically an unknown at that point and getting it down there and not tearing shit up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the worst case scenario for us. I mean, man, obviously for the fans too. I mean, that's what we don't want is we don't want to delay the show, don't want to delay the TV show. But then when you're a driver and you're stuck in your seat for 30 minutes in the summertime,
that sucks.
It is the worst thing ever, man. And, sometimes you try to play the manipulation game a little bit of, trying to figure out who's in front of you and which guys are doing that. But yeah, that's a great thing for the four wide is, that everybody kind of worked together and everybody was able to make, keep these things. I mean, especially with what's gone on in the first couple races with a lot of these guys
yeah.
blowing the bodies off. Just everybody's been making changes. Everybody's been doing their homework. Everybody's been, I know a big thing that's come out of like the first couple races is, one thing that we've been looking at a lot of is the actual safety aspect of, in the cockpit of, in the event of what if the body does fly off? I mean, what are ways to keep the driver safe? So I know, maybe you can elaborate a little bit more, but just building all these different, titanium shielding and different stuff with covering exposed roll cage. And
yeah, to me, like, that's the great thing about working at Coletta Motorsports is I feel like everybody's on board with trying to make our stuff safer, and they're not against hearing your opinions on what you think we need to try and this and that. It's where, on the funny cars, our roll cages, the front portion of them are exposed still. So, I mean, we're working on closing that up. You go back and look at the incident that happened with Forrest and Johnny Limburg. Like, that is, to me, it's way worse than what the common fan knows about.
Or is it Johnny Lumberg?
Yeah, Johnny Lumberg.
That's what Forrest called him. We all got a kick out of that.
Yeah, but Lumberg almost got, dotted in the head with Forrest's wheelie bar. And there's a tire mark on his helmet. So we're just trying to do a lot of things to our cars and make them safer. I mean, there was another instance. I think it might have been that same race. Forrest hit his head on the front of the roll cage, which, I mean, you would never think that we'd be able to do that. Where now we have that's all padded up before it was exposed. So after that event, actually we did it in Vegas, put a padding on the front of the roll cage to try and prevent things like that from happening. Then on our car, I'm sure they're going to do it on your car soon, we put a knee pad under the steering column there, because guys and girls that have crashed in the past have banged up their legs there on the steering deal. So putting a pad there, just little things that we're constantly working on, like the hand shield, making that bigger and stronger. And it's a never-ending process, and it's something that I feel like a lot of teams take for granted, and safety is something you should never stop looking into.
Yeah, that's a fact. That is a fact. So here we got one for you, JR. Craig McDonald, what happened with DSR and Twitter?
Oh, everybody thinks like it was so bad. Like, I'm glad that I made it look like it was bad, though, because it has everybody asking. Well, they were on my ass about a couple tweets. First, one of their social media people, which they have a bunch of them, and they do a great job. I'll give them props on that. And I asked one of their social media people if anyone had taken a video from like the stands or alongside the track of when we did the burnouts on Thursday, because all the ones that I saw were from the starting line, and you can't really see a bunch, just cars with smoke behind them. So I wanted to see something from the side, and I got a video, and I posted it. And I didn't give kudos to DSR for taking the video, which really, does it matter? Are you going to get like 2 more of my followers? You already got way more than I do. Give me a break.
Just a little break.
Send some my way. Or to
Retweet
the Nomex Effect.
Yes.
So anyways, that was early in the weekend. And then I don't know if you've seen the jokes delivered by DHL that we've been doing.
You and Richie?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're cheesy, but whatever.
Well, yeah, that's
the point of it.
That's the point of it, right?
Well, our joke that we did in Vegas was stolen from some jokes that DSR did that I didn't watch the video. Did you? It was with Caps and Antron.
I quit watching because they're terrible jokes.
Terrible jokes, and it was a 5-minute long video. Nobody's got time for that. 5 minutes.
Actually, I did watch a couple.
I watched like 1 or 2. I'm like, all right.
They're pretty good. I mean, Antron and Caps, they sell the whole deal.
Right.
They're pretty good at that stuff.
But once again, we didn't do our homework and stole one of their jokes. But that's not where they got it from. They found Ashley O, our social media coordinator, found it online, and we used it. Well, the DSR Twitter police saw it and called me out again on Twitter, and finally I had enough. I'm like, that's it. From here on out, all tweets must go through DSR clearly. So
for your information,
that's where that was. It wasn't anything bad. I wasn't trying to fight anybody or anything like that. So sorry to let you guys down.
That's all it was. All right. Hey, Ethan, for JR, how beneficial do you think the PitFit online programs are?
I like going to PitFit. I say I like it, but I went there this morning after not going for about 2 weeks, and I didn't like it. I thought I was going to hurl there at one point. But no, I think that it's helped me in the past couple of years since I've started going, especially because we do a lot of reaction time training there, and where I feel like other workout programs don't offer that, and they definitely offer the online deal to where, I mean, you don't even have to be there in the gym with us working out, and you can do it. So it's they got a good deal going over there with Jim and Leo and Zach, and I definitely recommend it to anybody out there. Go check them out.
Absolutely. Any benefit on using a third chute like the one Dell uses?
I don't know. That's a really good question, because we have definitely been having some parachute problems within the last 2 years. I've noticed in the funny car more than ever in the dragster. I think it's because the funny car is so much heavier that when you drive into them, or try to, like we do, that when I say that, I mean pull the parachute before you get to the finish line. By the time you get there, it's out.
Right.
So it hits really hard, and anytime that we make a run in the upwards of 330 miles an hour, it seems like it puts a lot of stress on the parachute and blows the panels out. So that's why Dell put the third parachute on there, trying to take some of the stress off the two
Slow
main
it down
sheets.
a little bit more.
Right. And he says it's helped. So, I mean, maybe that's something that we should all look into. I think that we just need to find better ways of strengthening up the chute so they last longer.
Absolutely. Bob, who lost the most money in Vegas? Chad? Well, the last I heard, Chad was actually up money, and I think Chad won some money. I don't know what the end result was.
But will he ever give you the real story, ever?
Probably not. But he did lose his rental car, and that was the most important thing. He did not lose the rental car. The year before, he showed up at the track Sunday. Nobody could find Chad, and he lost his rental car. And he ended up finding it at the end of the day. It was full of receipts and an empty Starbucks
cup. They trashed it.
And it had no fuel left in it, which I think
they went to LA and back.
Vegas is like 8 miles long.
Right. But they drive up and down the strip.
You can't run out of a tank
of
fuel in Vegas. Come on.
Bad story.
The stories are endless with that guy. What we got? Oh, Nick.
Oh, Nick.
So did anyone ever get any more info on what was really the story behind Leah getting fined $10,000 in Gainesville? Oh, man. I don't think. When was the last time somebody actually got fined?
I remember like Whit Bazemore got fined. It's been a long time. I'd say at least 10 years.
Like, I think you really got to mess up to get fined.
Like they're setting an example. Like, she messed up.
Yeah. The crazy thing is, they put out a thing on NHRA Racer. They like hide it in their secondary pages of the website. So, I mean, nobody really knows a whole lot about it. That's kind of the crazy thing. I think there's so much speculation and stories of what people, because everybody's curious. Like, hey, NHRA sent out a $10,000 fine, which they never do, and then they don't explain why they're sending out a fine. So everybody else is sitting here, okay, well, like, what do I not have to do to not get fined $10,000? Nobody really knows. I mean, from what we've heard, is she was late. She was trying to show up for Sunday. They're going to warm the car up, and
that's probably the race you do not show up late to.
Right. Gainesville traffic is bad getting in. There's a lot of people showing up. I mean, the fans are awesome there. The fans, they come in packs. And if you come into, there's certain tracks. I mean, Gainesville being one, Houston being another, Epping can get bad. There's just some tracks as a driver or a crew chief that you don't show up at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. You show up at 7:30 and you make sure you're there early, because there is going to be traffic. And, so I think just what happened, she showed up late and she didn't want to sit in line. So she went around the line, and from what I've heard now, this
is all hearsay on our part. So don't get butthurt.
Nobody get mad. nobody get mad, but I went on the wrong side of the road, or maybe what have you, or went on the shoulder, or what have you, went around traffic, and apparently cops tried to stop her. She kept on rolling. Cops didn't like that.
And there are a lot of cops working that race as well at the front entrance. So don't make them mad.
I mean, sometimes the cops are nice, sometimes they're not. We all know that going into the races, you don't want to piss off the cops. I mean, just on an everyday basis, if a cop tells you to stop, you stop. Doesn't matter if you're late or if you're not, or if you drive top fuel or if you drive super street, you stop for the cops, and you don't blow by them, and you don't blow them off. So
correct.
Like I said, we may be talking out of our asses. We don't really know, but these are the things that we've just heard through stories at the track. So obviously blew by them, and I guess that pissed them off. And now, we could go into everything that we've heard, and there's 1,000 different stories. We could sit here for another hour if you want to really talk about it all, but end of the day, just didn't comply with the front gate and blew around traffic and tried to cut off traffic and was probably delivering pizza or something. I don't know. And maybe breads.
Yeah, maybe it was like one of those 30 minutes or less deals. I mean,
I don't know.
She was at 29 minutes.
So yeah, so you blow them off, and I don't know. I don't know what was said, if there's any confrontation back and forth between them. But I guess, yeah. I mean, they said it was from speeding, so I don't know. Maybe she gassed it. Maybe she gassed it around the police officer, or maybe she gassed it to go around traffic and went into the oncoming lane. And
it's never good when you piss off the cops, ever.
No, you just don't piss off the cops. I mean, hey, a couple years ago in Brainerd, I was in a similar situation and was sitting in line. So I thought I could follow the car in front of me that was going on the shoulder and was going into the track. And, well, the cop didn't see the first guy, but he saw me. So he slammed his fist on the hood and told me I had to go to the back of the line. And I'm just like, I can't just go through. Nope, you go to the back of the line. So he made me U-turn, go to the back of the line, and I had to wait in line. Which, hey, it's their show. I mean,
right?
Whatever.
They're on duty. They can't arrest your ass.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So whatever. It is what it is. You just don't blow off the cops. Don't act like you're entitled to anything that nobody else is. Don't blow around traffic. Wake up on time, set your alarm. Don't do things the night before that.
Get a good night's sleep.
Get a good night's sleep. Don't come in late, typical work stuff, right?
Well done.
You ever get dinged for driving your sportsman car in the pits too fast? No, but there are some people that do that.
I feel like that can be an issue.
Yeah, because that's tough. Yeah, and I see it more on the bracket racing side of things. So I forgot where I was even at. Forsyth, get off it. Yeah, so the sportsman side, and I see a lot of the bracket racing. The problem is it is a family environment when you're at the racetrack, and it is something that even with us on the tow vehicles, they've put speed limits on us. I mean, or maybe 2 years ago it was.
Yeah, we get penalized for it.
Yeah, we got penalized, and we sat at the top end for 10 minutes because our tow vehicles was speeding. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what you have to understand is that, it's as fast as these guys are trying to turn us around, and as fast as like on these 50-minute turnarounds that they're trying to keep us on the TV schedule, in order for us to do it, we need to get back as quickly as possible. But then it becomes an issue because, when you're sitting there honking and a lot of people are trying to enjoy the experience and they're looking around and they're not really paying attention for the people. So that's something that we've been actively on NHRA about that, man. We need these cops that get on these motorcycles and they can help do a little bit of crowd control and get the crowd out of the way in order for us to get back as fast, because it is, at the end of the day, it's a family environment and there's a lot of kids around, and the kids aren't really watching, and sometimes the adults aren't either. And sometimes there's people with 40s walking around in the they're not paying attention. Right. they don't even know what's going on.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So, it's, I think we all need to do a better job, slowing down, but, man, it's tough. I mean, at the end of the day, you got a job to do. What's Tim saying? Do you still have the club that the other drivers, I'm assuming, gave you as a gag gift in Indy? Yeah, I do.
Oh man, I forgot about the club.
Dude,
the club got some people butthurt.
The club pissed some people off.
I thought it was a clever prop for your canopy to keep it open.
No.
And it was dual purpose, and so your car didn't get stolen like it did.
Right. Well, I mean,
did it or did it not?
You look at the scenarios and it's a tough culture out here. You got to,
you can just say it got stolen. You're not going to get fired.
They, at the end of the day, they had to do what they had to do. And it is, hey, I'm okay.
Yeah, I agree.
It's part of it knowing as a driver that doesn't have a big bank account, a driver that doesn't have multiple sponsors that follow him around everywhere he goes. So I go to a team. Don gave me a great opportunity to drive his race car and basically come over after we had lost our funding with AJ. So gave me an opportunity to come over and I loved being there, man. I really enjoyed racing for Don. I really enjoyed racing with Todd Okahara and Phil Schuler.
Yeah, you guys ran well.
Dude, we had
beat our asses in 2016.
Yeah,
whatever that
we had a damn good race car. And so yeah, I guess, it hurts a little bit when somebody comes in and they pay for their opportunity, bottom line. And, which, do you fault them? No. I mean, that's the nature of the game.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
And that's
a sucky part of the game.
Well,
it's
a hard pill to swallow. It really is. I mean, because, you look at like what's more beneficial to a team owner. Is it somebody that's in a sense an internet sensation that has 80,000 followers on their social media, and it could potentially bring in a sponsor, or somebody that could, doesn't really have the social media following, that doesn't have the sponsor
that can
following,
flat out drive a car,
but could maybe bring a little bit where you could get a couple more wins throughout the season. I mean, who's to say? Not really that there's a good one way or the other. It's just there's two different ways to get a ride,
right?
And I think what it's showing in this day and age, I mean, with the sponsorships, man, it's we're down accounts and we need the sponsors and these team owners, they need the sponsors. So that's the good and the bad of NHRA racing right there, guys.
What else we got?
Did you ever get your bike back?
Yeah, man, I tweeted that in Pomona this year. Debo brought my bike back.
Debo.
That's another Chad thing.
Was it squeaking?
Yeah, a little bit. So yeah, I got this really nice mountain bike that I've had for a couple years. Ride it around the tracks. I figured it's better to ride a bicycle than ride a scooter. At least you're getting a little bit of a workout. Well, Chad started riding it to the starting line wherever he goes. Well, at the World Finals, come like Friday, I'm like, hey, where's my bike? No one knew where it was. I'm like, well, who the hell unloaded it from the trailer? Like, someone's seen it. Like, where is it? And we're parked right there at the end where anybody can get to your pit area. It's not fenced off or anything. Well, I never saw my bike all weekend, so I was pissed about that. And then one of the crew guys who was on your car last year, the big kid with the beard, can't remember his name. But anyways, he worked for the Peenwright team, the alcohol car. And he texts one of my guys like, hey, they found your bike over in their pit area Sunday night, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know how I got there, but thankfully those guys found it and delivered it back this year. So yeah, I got my bike back.
All right, so hey, we'll go through a couple questions that we had on social media last week when we did our little teaser video. We told some people to send in some questions. So we got one from Brandon Fry, and his question is from both of you guys coming out of the junior dragster ranks, where do you think the series is today? Is it as big as it was back in the day, or is it fading away, and why?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I don't think it's fading away. It just needs, like you said, more notoriety than what it has. Yeah, they run them at our national events, but half the time when they're doing it, I don't even know that they're running. To where maybe they could, I don't know, get a lot of us junior drivers together and kind of make a big deal about it.
Absolutely. That's one thing that I wish that NHRA would do, is get more of the drivers, guys like us. You look at like what Erica Enders has done throughout her career.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of drivers that have come out of the junior dragster ranks that people aren't even aware of. And I take it back. A couple years ago in Charlotte, they had a few of us drive the kids' cars against, I think against one girl who won a race off to be able to race against us. Like, I'm not saying we have to do that because I don't want to have to climb in a junior dragster again. That was a tight fit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just something to where we can interact with them. And I think it would mean a whole lot to them than just going out there and making runs on Sunday down the track.
Right. And I like what NHRA is doing this year on getting, in a sense, the legends out there,
Yep.
Guys that we looked up to. I thought it was awesome, man. Snake was out there last weekend, and Snake was in our pit area. I just sat around and bullshitted with Snake for 20 minutes,
I love that.
And it's so cool to talk to these guys that, man, I mean, I was standing out there ropes as a kid for hours on day trying to get their autograph and watch video after video of these guys. But I think that'd be a cool opportunity for, like, not to say that we're anywhere on the level of what, Snake and all these guys are on, but give us the opportunity to go to these junior events, to give back to these junior kids, because they may look up to us and they may look up to what we do and where we've come from, but be able to have us interact with them and have us share our stories and the opportunities that we've been given. Because I think what our sport's lacking is like a feeder system. You look at like what NASCAR has, you look at the Xfinity series, the truck series, all these different things that they have. You got the next up and coming drivers. You got the driver development programs.
You see them coming.
I mean, look at like Christopher Bell. I mean, everybody's known for years this kid's going to be, Kyle Larson was like that for a long time. Right. But you knew they were coming, and these guys are just flying through the ranks and they're winning races, and so you knew of this years in the past. I mean, unless if I look on Drag Race Central to see who won the Western or Eastern finals, you don't really see a whole lot of that. So I think that somebody's got to take the initiative on the NHRA side to pump these kids, to develop these.
Get them on TV a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Get these kids the recognition they deserve, because in 15 years they're probably going to be sitting here doing a podcast talking about racing top fuel car, and who knows where the hell we'll be, but you know what I mean? It's like, but give them, it's so difficult in this day and age to get that opportunity. Once you get the opportunity, it's up to the kid to take advantage of it and to keep proceeding with it. But it's the opportunity. That's the toughest part to get in our sport.
Yeah. I feel like when we were kids racing juniors, that if there were guys in front of us that raced juniors that made it up to the pro ranks like us, like I would strive to be like them. Like that would be my goal.
Right.
To where, I mean, we didn't have anybody. I looked up to guys like Kenny Bernstein and John Forrest because I got to park my junior dragster next to them in the staging lanes. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, somehow they need to make it to where we can work with these kids and help them.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, we'll do one from Tyler. What is one thing you guys personally have to do religiously before a run, like hitting the practice tree or visualizing the runs, or something that no one thinks of without giving away secrets?
Man, for me, I don't know that there is one thing that I have to do religiously. Sundays, I'll go over in the old man's trailer because there's the practice tree set up in there in the lounge. And like, I'll hit it Sunday morning just to see if I'm where I should be. If I need to go drink coffee or something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a certain level of 10 different emotions Sunday morning that you have to manage and control. You have that level of intensity, you have the level of nervousness, aggressiveness, passiveness, all these different emotions that you're feeling, depending on the confidence level that you have coming out of qualifying, who you're racing first round, what your point situation is. Is it a countdown race? There's so many different things. So I think, like what JR said, I'm kind of the same way. If it's a morning that like I'm just kind of not really feeling it, I'll go in there and I'll hit the practice tree until I am feeling it. Drink maybe a cup of coffee, maybe drink a Red Bull, drink some different things that'll kind of get your intensity level up a little bit, get your caffeine going, get your adrenaline going. Maybe go in there and go in my lounge and do some push-ups or something like that. Then maybe there's some mornings that you're you could feel your heart beating through your chest, and those are typically the times when you have to know how to manage that intensity level. So when you're down and you're trying to bring yourself up, you don't want to bring yourself too far up. You want to bring yourself to this level that you can manage and maintain, versus when you're way up, a lot of times like you'll get it where your heart's beating through your chest and you can feel your adrenaline going. And then you kind of take those deep breaths to kind of calm yourself down a little bit. I feel for me, that's when I'm best hitting the tree. So I'll try to get to that level every single time. Now how I get there, I mean, sometimes it may be drinking some tea, drinking some coffee, drinking some Red Bull, Mellow Yellow, doing some push-ups, doing some sit-ups, going and hitting the practice tree. It just kind of really depends. I mean, the times when I visualize the run, though, is when we go to racetracks that it's super hot out. Because what I've always said is driving these top fuel cars, anybody can theoretically drive the car when it goes straight down the racetrack. You hit the gas, you hold the wheel straight, it goes straight down the racetrack. Anybody can do it. It's more of the intimidation factor on these things. I think the hardest thing to do driving these cars is when you get put in situations. And those are where the experienced drivers come through, because they're able to go through these situations and they know how to handle the situations. So a lot of times if I go to a really hot track, I will visualize the runs where I'm visualizing myself kind of hovering my hand over the brake handle to where I'm able to drive with the brake if it smokes the tires. Just doing different things like that, of mentally trying to prepare myself for certain situations that could potentially happen on those runs.
Yeah, that to me, if Sunday you're sitting there in the lanes and it's hot out and you hear a car smoking the tires, well, that's when I start telling myself, like, hey, you better be ready for this to happen. Or when it's cooler out and guys are out there throwing down and hauling ass, and it's like, all right, hang on, because there's a chance this thing's gonna rip. Just different situations. For me, I guess the biggest thing on Sunday is once you win first round, you really don't have to work hard at keeping yourself up. But if it's a long round and there's a lot of oil downs and this and that, and they're 2 hours behind, and you start tapering off, your adrenaline wears off, then it's like, all right, I got to do something to pick myself back up. But you kind of got to toe the line because you don't want to go too far, like you said.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And there's different ways of pedaling these cars too, because you're not going to pedal the car the same on a hot track versus a cold track.
Correct.
When you get to a cold track and it's got a lot of grip on it, you're able to really do kind of a quick pedal, where the track's going to grab the tire and it's able to break the motor away from the clutch. But you go to a hot track, you got to be real easy on that pedal, because the odds of it going back up in smoke are pretty good. So yeah, it's just kind of knowing the situations that you're in, and you try to prepare yourself the best you can for who you're racing, the track, the lane. Some lanes like to drive you to the inside of the groove. Some lanes like to drive you to the outside. Some of them have bumps. Some of them have transitions that it's going to smoke, so you're going to black track. It's tough, man. I mean, you just got to prepare for the worst, prepare for the situations that could potentially happen.
Yeah, like you said, times you got to tell yourself, okay, well, this car or this lane sucks you this way. Well, sometimes you overthink it and drive the car out of the groove thinking you need to be right of the groove when it pulls you to the left. A lot of times if you just relax and let the car do its own thing, then you'll be just fine.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Your crew guy, Jim, has a question for you.
Do you have any crew members give you any advice? Yeah. Duck.
That's funny.
We got here's another question that we had tweeted at us. Under the current leadership, do you think the NHRA is heading in the right direction for the future of the sport? What changes would you like to see, or Phil would make it better?
Man, that's tough. We all have our opinions and what we think could be better, this and that, but I mean, yeah, we got a different TV program and this and that and what have you, but I never even thought about this till somebody brought it up last weekend. Like, how much longer is TV going to be around, honestly?
That's hard to say, because as much as people are on their phones or iPads, or
exactly, everything's more online now.
Right. There's a lot of streaming stuff that we see now. I know for guys like us, I mean, as much as we're on the road, in and out of airports, driving down the road, it's what's accessible on your phone, what's accessible in your hand right there, or right now. You look at the streaming services, you look at all these different apps. I think like we have what's the NHRA. What's the live streaming that they did?
The all access.
The all access, the partial access deal.
Yeah, partial access. Sometimes access.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a great feature, but man, it's just this stuff you got to have all the time. You got to have working all the time. An app. I've always been a big firm believer of the app. You got to have it where you can click on that app and you can access anything you want to access that you want to know. I mean, from instant results, instant timing, instant where you get live timing. You got you can watch the stream, you can watch the incrementals going down the track, you can search by driver to get any type of run that they've had, any type of bio, search a car number, you could see what runs they've made in what lane, you know what I mean? All this different stuff that, one thing that man, I wish they would do is I remember as a kid, and we played these dang video games, these NHRA main events. Well, I remember Morgan Lucas and we'd come home from high school and we'd be the first one leaving class because we wanted to get back and we wanted to come up with a new tune-up for certain track, Englishtown or whatever track you had. That, it's just these interactive games that keeps the fans interactive. And I think, doing like a fantasy drag racing league, I think that's something that's very important that they need to bring back. I always tell this story, but I remember back when, man, this guy comes up and says, "Hey, Sean, I'm a Tony Schumacher fan. He's wearing a U.S. Army shirt or one of the crew shirts, and but I picked you this weekend. I'm rooting for you." So it's just that interactive with the driver to the fans. I think bringing that kind of stuff back, but bring also kind of getting to that younger age demographic.
That's what I think. Like, somehow they need to look at what they need to do to bring in the younger age demographic.
Right.
When we have oil downs and what have you at the track, why not have some freestyle motocross guys out there doing tricks on the return road or something like that?
Yeah, I know they've done stuff like that. I think the midway is a big thing. I remember when I was a kid, man, I'd be on the midway and I'd be doing all kinds of interactive games and going through just all the different trailers and getting stickers and getting hats and getting all the handout cards. And I know a lot of stuff they still have today, but I think it's different. 1992 is different than 2018.
Way different.
And so it's just we need to. They do have some pretty cool stuff on the midway, though. I'll give them that. I think that they do have some good ideas. Different stuff, but it's not bringing in a band that. And no offense to anybody, but not bringing in a band that's going to play in the pit area that plays music that a 65-year-old man would listen to.
Right.
It's bringing in that younger band, the new up and coming band, to kind of get to that younger audience, that the younger audience would know. I remember one thing that Forrest Lucas used to always say in all of his commercials, you put a very attractive female on the commercials and it sells, so, there's so many things, it's so hard to say. I mean, this is way above my pay grade. I'm just a dumb driver that hits the gas and holds the wheel straight, but
lucky to have a job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of things, man. It's stuff like that. You could sit here and go all day long on so many different avenues and directions of how to take that kind of stuff.
There's definitely lots of room for improvement. I'll put it that way. What we need to improve on, I don't exactly know, but definitely a lot of things we can do different to make our sport better. And that's why another reason we wanted to do this right here.
Right. And and I think this is something that when it was kind of brought up and we kind of started talking about it, was what are different ways that we can interact and different ways that we can give back to the fans, and we can give back, bring more. I think bottom line, what I think our thing was missing is on a Thursday afternoon, who's talking about drag racing? You don't really see nothing on Comp Plus. There's really nothing on the forums. There's nothing on NHRA. There's no
TV show, NHRA Today, or anything like that anymore.
There's no TV show. There's no one talking about nothing. So what we want to do is we want to talk, well, on a day, I don't know. We really haven't come up with a specific time or date, but when we do these things, we want to do this stuff, and we want to, talk about the things that you may not have seen the show. You may not have been at the drag race, but what are different things that happened? Any type of drama. Maybe somebody blew by the cops and got a 10K fine. Hey, we'll talk about it. We don't care. We don't want to piss anybody off. We don't want to hurt no feelings, but we just want to give everybody.
Yeah, we're not hiding anything
We're just telling the truth.
Right.
We spit the truth. That's all we do. We tell you how it is. We tell you what you need to know, what you want to know, what you're willing to know. You just ask questions. We'll tell you. We're not bringing it up. We're just answering questions, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, we're not digging.
We're not digging for
people
dirt.
Need to know.
I want to know. The people have a right to know.
That's right.
So we want to we want to just keep bringing this back. We want to keep doing this. Eventually we'd like to keep this going smoothly every week if we can. It's going to be more of a time thing as much as we travel, but you got something good?
Yeah, something that I guess our sport needs to work on. A certain announcer, I'm not going to say who, said that we need to work on announcer/driver identification, because another announcer mistaken myself for Antron Brown because we look so much alike.
And it's the same like the Terry Milliken and the Clay McMillan thing. They I feel so bad for those guys. They constantly
when they race each other, it's over.
Yeah, it's just Terry.
Just call them their first names. Yeah,
it's Clay Milliken, Terry McMillan. If you can't remember it, go to their pit, get a handout card. They'll even sign it for you.
Study it.
Just study it. So yeah. So crew, or what do you say?
Announcer driver identification.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, we need to I think that's one thing I think our sport lacks. A little bit on the side of go ahead. I think on the side of back in the late 80s, early 90s, I think all the drivers they had the names, they had the car names, their own brand. A lot of things I think these days get promoted as NHRA, as NHRA drivers. Obviously you look at like John Force, but he's built his own brand. The guy's a legend. There's no doubt about it. Very well deserved. Same like what Antron Brown. I think a lot of the rest is, with the NHRA drivers. I think, but I think that the drivers need to do a good job of that too. You got to find a way to
try to sell yourself.
You got to sell yourself, and you got to build your own brand. So that's another part of the reason in Nomex Effect. We're trying to do something different. We're trying to do think outside the box a little bit. I think it's an opportunity that we're able to, maybe sell some apparel. Nomex Effect T-shirts. stickers, hats, you name it. We got it.
So, yeah, I mean, like you said, the fantasy drag racing thing, that's something that we hope to do on our own, correct?
Well, yeah, we would like to. That's something that we're looking into. We're rookies at this.
Throwing darts.
I mean, I had the microphone fall over on me 2 minutes before this podcast started. So, we're trying to get this stuff going.
This podcast might not even be recording.
We hope it's recording. We know it's Facebook Live, so that's all that matters. But we want to get we're working on a website, nomexeffect.com. What we would like to do is get a fantasy drag racing league. We want to get something for the fans to give them an opportunity to root for their favorite drivers, to root for the drivers they don't like. However you want to pick your teams, but we want to do something. We want to give back to them, give in a sense, like some type of VIP experience. And we're still working out the details. So if anybody has any ideas, please feel free. You can hit us up on any social media at Nomex Effect, nomexeffect@gmail.com. Give us your ideas. We'd love to hear them. But what we want to do is create some sort of fantasy drag racing league to give back to the fans of, say, the year-end winner. You get a VIP experience. You come out, pick a race next year. We'll give you a couple weekend tickets. We'll get you in the hospitality area. We'll even try to figure out a way, maybe get you on the starting line. We'll try to get
on the starting line, ride in a tow vehicle with us, get a crew shirt, just
so
behind the scenes type stuff.
Yeah, we'll give you the VIP experience. But again, just things that are in the works. But it's just more of the interactive stuff with everybody. So like I said, you guys got ideas? Shoot them our way.
Except Kuhar.
We don't listen to you. I see Forsyth a night out with
yeah, but what is his alter ego?
He doesn't have one. He's trying to come up with something. He's a rookie. We got Shane Langston and RJ Todd over here. So make sure if you guys want apparel, make sure to email us your orders. nomexeffect@gmail.com. Again, working on all that stuff. We do have shirts. We're getting more hats. We sold out of hats.
We have a few hats left.
Oh, we do have some hats. Okay. We have a couple hats, so make sure you get to be a first one.
There will be more coming, though. Decals. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more on down the road. It's just we're in the beginning stages right now.
Right. So we're working on all this stuff. So, I mean, shoot, we plan on doing this thing for a half hour, man. We're already at almost hour and 12 minutes. So, I mean, I think we've talked about a lot of stuff today. I like a lot of stuff. I mean, if you got anything to add or.
No, I think we're good. It's nice to have a weekend off. For me, you, not so much.
I was supposed to have a weekend off. This was like my second weekend I was going to have off this year, right? And so then my buddy calls me and says, hey, they have a race in Jackson, South Carolina. Sunday is going to rain out, so they're actually going to make it $175,000 to win. Saturday, $50,000 to win. Friday, do you want to go? So I'm not going to sit at home. I'm going to haul ass over to JR's house. I had about a day and a half at home because we tested Monday.
Back to this bracket race. We can tackle this next week after you win, but that's the issue I have. You're racing for $175,000 to win.
Yeah.
What? We're doing something wrong.
We race for 50. It could be worse. You could be super comp race for 1,800.
True.
Or stock or super stock. Yeah, that's the cool thing about these bracket races, man. I mean, I choose to spend my off weekends bracket racing because I have an opportunity to race for some awesome money, man. I mean, not only do I get to race top fuel, but you go to these bracket races and I mean, these guys are paying big money. You go to the Spring Fling, going to be in Vegas in 2 weeks. They're guaranteeing $200,000 to win.
Makes me want to get a car. Or find a ride.
The biggest, I don't care what Duck says, that's the biggest payout in drag racing. I don't care if we're ankle breaking, mother, whatever you want to call us.
Yeah, he said you guys aren't drag racers though, right?
Hey, all I know is I'm at a drag strip, I'm paying an entry fee, and that money's going to hit the checking account Monday morning.
It's more than them no preppers race for.
Yeah, we won't get into the no preppers. But So yeah, I mean, you do the bracket race, man. It's awesome. I mean, it's tough racing. I went a couple weeks ago, absolutely got destroyed. My worst light was a 19. Plenty of dead ons, double O's, you name it. Didn't get out of third round. I mean, these guys are dang good drivers. Keep you sharp, keep you ready to go for the next race, the next weekend. You know, a lot of times, I mean, I come out of Gainesville. I have my worst light of my career, a 140 something, because I'm trying too dang hard. And so I go on my off weekend. I go out there, I make 19 laps in my super comp car in the bracket race, and it clears my head. And I go right to Vegas, and I'm not even worried about it. I go right back in and was able to hit some good lights. So yeah, I go do these bracket races, man. I love it. I don't care. I know it's for the fans. A lot of people don't understand it because of dial-ins and the breakouts, and you know, certain people say what they want about it, but I'm telling you, man, it is the absolute hardest racing there is, bar none, hands down. It doesn't 9 rounds to win.
Yeah, and I feel like the common fan that's sitting in the stands doesn't realize how fast those actually are. Like, you take your ass to Frank Holly's and strap yourself in a super cop car and hit the gas, I guarantee you let off the gas as soon as you leave the starting line.
Right, and you're going 140 miles an hour in those. I mean, you know, bracket cars can vary because, I mean, you could go anywhere from typically you race 8th mile. You can go, you know, 430s to 680s, or, you know, maybe 7 seconds. So even, you know, it just depends on what you got. But the cool thing about that, it gives everybody an opportunity to race.
Yep.
It gives everybody an opportunity to race for big money. Doesn't matter what kind of car you got. You may get a little head start. You may have to give a little head start, but bottom line, you got to hit the tree. You got to know how to dial your car, and you got to know how to race. So that's drag racing, man. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's not heads up racing, but it's drag racing. So I don't know. I guess that's all. That's all we really got. I mean, I think over an hour. I don't know if I've ever talked this much before.
Yeah, people always ask you to talk this long, and you can't.
Yeah, but hey, we got stuff to talk about. As long as people keep asking questions, man, we'll keep talking. So, I mean, I guess we can. More tracks. Yeah, that's actually true. You know, I think if more tracks had finish line grandstands, I think a lot of people could understand the bracket racing side more, because of the fact of you're going down and you're racing, and not only are you trying to keep your car straight, keep it in the groove, you know, but you're watching the other car, you're trying to judge the rate of speed. You may be a 20, 30, 40 mile an hour difference. So you got to gauge that. You got to be able to know where you're dialed, if you're dialed hard, if you're holding a couple, you know, what are the tendencies of the other drivers? But going 190 miles an hour and taking 10th hour less, that's hard. And these guys do it like it's nothing. They'll take 5th hour less, and they're probably double a weight or better on you. I mean, you look at a lot of these drivers, they're bad dudes, man. I'm telling you, you put a handful of those bracket guys in a fuel car, it changed a sport in a hurry. I'll promise you that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, not every junior drag racer is going to make it to the pro level, but you can definitely tell the good kids that are now bracket racing because they're winning in that. Yeah.
I wish I remember the kid's name. I mean, I run this kid down at Huntsville. I was racing down there a couple weeks ago, and I mean, this kid looked barely even old enough to have a driver's license, and I ended up running him, I believe it was 2nd round, and I was 008 dead on 4. I had no chance. He was 000 dead on 4. But it just shows, man, and that's another reason of this the junior drag racing league, man. That's, you got these kids that have 8 years of experience racing before they get into a big car. And I know, you know, for me, I had about 5 years before I got into the big car. All they have to do is get used to the speed. And once they get used to the speed, they know how to drive the finish line. They know how to hit the tree. And so a lot of these, you see these 16 to 18-year-old kids coming out just wrecking havoc and winning races and making it look easy. I mean, it's really awesome to see. And that's a testament to
I feel like that's what that class was designed for, to get kids ready for, you know, the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. Well,
All right. Well, bring back some money next week.
I'm going to try, man. I'm flying out tonight.
We need some new equipment already.
I'm flying out tonight. I think I land about midnight, flying into, what is it? Carolina Dragway. I've never been there before. So I'm flying into Augusta, and then I think I'm going to Uber it over because the trailer should be there hopefully by then. So, I'm going to show up to this place and
wreck them.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully get me about 175K.
Like I said, we got this nice starter equipment, but you win that, we can maybe get some new mics.
Yeah, we do. We'll do a little updates here and there. But so all in all, thanks to everyone for joining. We're gonna try to do. I know today was kind of a last minute deal, but we're gonna try to do as much as we can. Obviously, any feedback is great. Other than telling us to F off, I mean, we don't want to hear it. If you got
yeah, save that for yourself.
if you got advice, if you got questions, if you got answers, if we said some stuff we shouldn't have said today, I mean, just hey, interact with us. We're all good for it. Send in questions. The more questions we get, the more shows that we'll do. So we're good with it. We'll try to do as much as we can. Obviously, we'll have the apparel's ready to sell. So send in your orders. We'll try to eventually maybe do some stuff at the racetrack. I
mean, like I said, eventually we're going to get some more stuff to where we can get guests on, different drivers, crew chiefs, whoever you want us to talk to, maybe have some call-ins. Just it's going to get better. This was just basically a trial run.
Yeah, like I said, we don't know what we're doing. We barely got these mics plugged in and all this stuff. So once we figure out how to do this call-in deal, we'll probably end up calling Wes Buck because he really kind of helped us set all this stuff up. So we'll probably be calling you if Wes is watching. We'll probably be calling you sometime soon. Figure that out. But if you guys want to hear from anybody, tell us who you want us to talk to. We'll call them up. Give us a question
within reason.
Yeah, within reason. But
let's not go too far.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We have the authority to say no to certain people that we don't want on our show. Just saying. We know the owners. So, all right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. For anybody that has any questions, send them in, and we'll keep coming back at you.
Yeah. So let's try again next week, huh?
Sounds good to me.
See you guys. Thank you.